On today's show, we're going through the Western Conference to see where the Mavericks stand. Are they a top 4 team? Will they have home court advantage next season? Way too early power rankings from us.
But more importantly, if your life is on the line and you need a Maverick to make a three-point shot, who's taking it for you? Justin Anderson, Dwight Powell, Josh Richardson, Boban, or Eric Dampier? Coming up next, we'll give you our answer.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com, the Summer League sovereign saint, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Well, I'm just super bummed because we don't have a Summer League game to break down today. So
you're such a Summer League curmudgeon. Like, I'm kind of glad we didn't go because you've just been walking around going, this is so dumb. None of these players will play in the NBA.
Can we go pull a slot again?
Can we go somewhere else?
In the cold open, we asked.
I want to go see Blue Man.
Celine Dion, is she still?
Britney's conservation. Never mind.
Oh God! In the cold open, we asked the question: if your life depended on it. This was on via Reddit. If your life depended on it, 3-point shot for your life. Who would you pick? Boban, Dwight Powell, Josh Richardson, Justin Anderson, or Eric Dampier?
Justin Anderson, by the way, making an appearance in Summer League right now for the Rockets.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Really?
He's playing for the Rockets. Yeah, they just finished a game. We're recording on Thursday night. Yeah.
Oh, he is not. No. Brandon Knight is playing in the Summer League. Michael Beasley is playing in the Summer League.
On Locked On NBA, I did a power ranking. The Michael Beasley All-Stars, the most 10 most WTF players that are still playing in Summer League right now.
Kenneth Faried is playing.
On my life, I would pick Boban.
I think I would take Dwight, honestly.
We've seen Dwight nail 10 threes in a row in practice.
That's why I would take
We've seen Dwight nail threes. It's not that he can't do it, but yeah. Dwight, if it's just wide, it's just wide open, nothing. But if it's in a game, I would take Boban.
Okay. Yeah. I'm tired of thinking about this question.
All right, we're going to go through the Western Conference, look through the teams, and see where do the Mavericks stand right now in the regular season, and then going into the playoffs, we'll kind of combine the two there. But we will also talk about Josh Green. We heard from Josh Green. He spoke to the media. It was pretty interesting. A couple things there with the reason why he didn't play in Summer League. He talked about that and gave us a reason. And then also he got a very special question asked. And I'll just say
the vibes are immaculate.
Jalen Brunson made an appearance. So you're not gonna want to miss that in the third segment. The clip of Brunson asking Josh Green a question. I thought it was hilarious. So
but let's writing for Moneyball or
smoking Cuban. There's a bunch of spots open all the time. Let's focus on the Western Conference right now. So we can start looking at some of these teams, and let's just start I don't know. Should we start crossing them off? How do you want to do this?
Well, I think the narrative comes, or why we're doing this, because I think there is a category of Mavs fans right now that is playing the positivity card, right? Like, we look at this team who took the Clippers to 7 games. Kawhi, it took the God performance from Kawhi for them to, to beat the Mavericks in 7 games. They're bringing back basically that same team, but they're adding Reggie Bullock and Sterling Brown and KP healthy offseason, take a drink, and all of that. So there's a world that you can sit and have this dialogue and this conversation of saying, well, dang, the Mavericks are going to be better next year. Look at this. Now, how much better? That's up for debate, but we think the additions did make them better. And Nick's been saying the 10%, so much of hey, they're 10% better, not 30, 40% that like a Kyle Lowry or somebody would have made.
I've seen people on Twitter say the Mavericks are 10% better. They would have beat the Clippers, and I kind of agree with them. They got to a game 7.
Yeah, so if they are better, and if this is the team that they take into the season, then where do they stack up in the West with all the different trades and Westbrook and all this stuff that has changed throughout the West? Where are they right now? And I think that's important to kind of distinguish.
So let's take a look at the standings right here from last season. We can't see the Timberwolves or the Thunder or the Rockets on it.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't think any of those teams are. All right, there you go. You can see a little bit more. But if you're watching on YouTube, we're looking at the standings, and it went Jazz, Suns, Nuggets, Clippers, Mavericks at 5, tied with the Blazers and Lakers. They had that 3-way tie that was crazy at the end of the season, remember? Then Memphis, the Warriors, the Spurs, the Pelicans, Kings, Timberwolves, and on down. The other two that won't make any noise, I don't think. So of those teams, let's just start with this. Did any team improve dramatically where you think that they're gonna be way higher than where they are right now?
Okay, well, shocking here, but I did tiers. So for the West going into next season, and this pains me to say this, but I don't think the Lakers have to be number 1. Now, I think the only debate in that is if you think the Lakers are in a category by themselves, or do you think that first category is 3 to 4 teams?
So the thing that's hard with this is, are we just going regular season record? Are we going who's the best team? Because
I'm doing record.
Yeah, if we're just doing regular season record, then I would put the Lakers on a tier below the Jazz and like the Suns.
Below?
Because
Hold up. Am I sitting here saying that I think the Lakers will have a better record than what you think they will?
Think about this Lakers team and this roster. They're going to be sitting guys games, right?
But they have 3 dudes now that they're going to they'll be great in the regular season.
They will be. They will, but they don't have young guys that they can rely on for spurts. They have all these old guys. I guess Anthony Davis is their young guy, but he's hurt a lot. So
Don't you be disrespecting Malik Monk.
I'm putting some.
Talen Horton-Tucker is the next whoever. I mean, star.
He's got a poster at Summer League, Isaac. He's a poster on the wall.
Does he really?
He does, yeah. They always do that with they did that for Caruso and players. Just any player that's a rotation player in the NBA that played in Summer League, they'll put him on a poster, especially if they played for the Lakers. But
okay,
I just put him a step below, right? If the Suns and Jazz are going to win 60 games next year, the Lakers win 55, 58, right? It's not. They'll lose some games due to attrition.
I guess so. So for me, it's the top group is 4 teams. It's the Lakers, Suns, Jazz, and Warriors. I think it's for me, it's very clear. Those are the top 4. And it's just I think the only debate for me is if the Lakers are in a category by themselves. I just think that Westbrook, LeBron, Anthony Davis, those 3 guys with some surrounding pieces will result in an incredible regular season record. I have big time doubts come the playoffs. I don't think they're winning the finals next year, but regular season, I think they'll have a great record.
So these are the teams that we think are going to be in the top. I tend to agree with you on those teams. The Nuggets.
Did you only have 3?
Well, if we're gonna put them in that big of a group, then yeah, I'll put the Lakers up there with them.
Okay.
If we're gonna rank them 1 to 4, I would put the Lakers 3 then on this list. But if we're gonna put them in tiers, then yeah, Jazz, Suns, Lakers, Warriors. That seems to be the top. The Warriors are going to be interesting. Can they just get back to where they were? Are they just going to be as good as they were? They were a pretty good defensive team last year. They just need some offense. And so is Clay going to be able to give that to him? He's been out for a long time. Big questions with them, but I think that's an interesting way to start. Are the Mavericks just underneath this tier?
Yeah, so okay. This is where I can hear the argument for both. I don't think that they're in. I've seen Kevin O'Connor at the Ringer, him and Bill Simmons, I think, tiered the West a couple weeks ago, and they put the Mavericks in a tier all by themselves right after that top group. I don't think the Mavericks did enough to put themselves in a tier by themselves as the clear 5th place team. I still put the Mavericks, Nuggets, Clippers, and Blazers in that second tier by themselves.
And we'll discuss that and talk about where they stand. Should they be better than that? I'll make a case that they should be coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Sweatblock. Sweatblock is a new product that you are going to want to hear about, especially if you deal with, sweating profusely, if you deal with pit stains, if you deal with just a lot of different stuff like that, where you're having to choose between colors of clothing, you're having to choose between types of clothing just because of the amount of sweat that you have, especially, holy cow, especially in Dallas, Texas, where it's 100 degrees like every single day. You are not going to want to have to deal with just sweat and changing. I have to change clothes like twice a day if I go on a simple walk if I go on like a simple walk with my dog. And so Sweatblock is the thing for you. They are wipes. They work for up to 7 days per use. It's doctor created, doctor recommended. You get a dry shirt guarantee. If Sweatblock doesn't keep you dry, you get your money back. It's a bestseller on Amazon for the past 10 years with over 13,000 reviews. Wear what you want to wear. Your little secret to confidence is Sweatblock. You can wear what you want to wear now, and it's a must-have for everyone's toiletry bag. So go to sweatblock.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, capital L and capital O on. Or go to Amazon or CVS. You can get Sweatblock. They're wipes. They have deodorant. They have all kinds of different stuff. Sweatblock.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. Also, I want to tell you about betonline.ag. BetOnline is the best place to put some money down on sports. You can go and bet on preseason football if you're super into it. If you really loved seeing Jerry Jones eat a McGriddle with extra salt on it, and you're like, oh man, that's a great sign for the Dallas Cowboys. Go ahead and put some money down on the Cowboys if you want to. That was a Hard Knocks reference. They have all kinds of odds right now in the first preseason game. So on Saturday, the Dallas Cowboys play the Arizona Cardinals. 1.5 point underdog for the Dallas Cowboys. I have no idea how to determine these preseason games because hardly anybody plays, especially the first one. But the over-under is 38.5 total points on there. So that's pretty interesting. If you want to put some money down on that, use the promo code LOCKEDON. Get a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get back into our tiers. So we talked about these top tier teams, the Jazz, the Suns, the Lakers, and the Warriors. We both kind of agreed that in the regular season, those are going to be the best teams. They largely didn't change, the Jazz and the Suns. They kind of got a little bit better. They brought a bunch of their guys back. The Lakers blended everything all up and just changed it up. Got Russell Westbrook, who will help them in the regular season for sure. They're not going to be back down here again. They're not going to be a 12 games above 500 team. The Golden State Warriors getting Klay Thompson back, a couple of the additions that they made, that team should be back up there as well in the regular season.
Yeah, and I mean, the Warriors, we all know they're just setting on a trade to happen too. Even without a trade, I think they're still going to be a really good regular season team, but they have the pieces to go get another, really good player too. So for Dallas, it's putting them in that tier with the Nuggets, Clippers, and Blazers. We know the Nuggets situation with Jamal Murray. We know the Kawhi, situation with the Clippers. What is happening with Damian Lillard for Portland? This is my question for you. And you guys know I am so positive all the time. And so this isn't a positive, versus negative type of thing. It's a realistic question. Are we sure the Mavericks, would you bet your life on it that the Mavericks will have a better record than the Denver Nuggets without Jamal Murray?
So here's my case that the Mavericks will be better than this tier, and I think that they should be above them. This Mavericks team was 5 games worse than them. They had Jamal Murray last year for a little bit. Clippers had Kawhi Leonard. Now they had injuries and stuff like that. But the Mavericks had that 2 month or a month and a half of COVID that they dealt with. That really was brutal on the Mavericks. If you don't remember, they also have had Kristaps Porzingis healthy for the first time. Which I think will be good going into the season. That did, now, for all that we joke about that and that we drink every time that Cuban or Nico or Jason Kidd or anybody says that, because it's funny at this point now, it is going to matter at the beginning of the season, which I think will help the Mavericks as well. Luka, hopefully the Mavericks get a secondary creator, but even without that, I think the additions that they made will just make them a little bit better, a little bit deeper, and will help in the regular season. Hopefully Brunson a year older, a little bit better, ready to take that next step. I think he really got punched in the face during the playoffs where he just at times couldn't play and really struggled. And so I wonder if he's going to really take that to heart and really come out swinging next. And also hearing all this stuff about a secondary creator. I wonder if he's hearing all this stuff and saying, Why can't I be that guy? There's people in the YouTube comments right now. Yesterday, I was reading some comments that said, why can't Jalen Brunson be that guy for the Mavericks? Now, there's different reasons why he hasn't shown that he can be that guy yet, but if he takes a leap forward, if he takes the next step, we talked about Fred VanVleet, we've talked about Kyle Lowry, like their trajectory in their careers, Brunson is kind of on that path with the stats that he's had. If he takes that next leap this season, he could become that guy. And so if he does, then all of a sudden it changes the calculus for the Mavericks. Now, we're not banking on that, but I think that COVID streak and then all the other stuff that the Mavericks dealt with, injuries and otherwise, is enough for at least 6 wins or so if these teams are going to be about the same, which they should be.
Well, you just took my whole argument of I was going to ask a question a little bit after we finish the rest of the West of, hey, who's the team that can far, exceed the expectations or their tier? And bias aside, I think it's the Dallas Mavericks because of everything that you just said. I think that's if the Mavericks are in that top 4, if they're 3 or 4 in the West next year and they just have this incredible record, and because it's no COVID, KP's back healthy and all of that, then I'm not going to be shocked either. So, and that's the reason you laid out all those reasons. I just don't want I don't want fans to go into next season with this just blanket expectation of Denver doesn't have Murray, the Clippers don't have Kawhi, so therefore we're guaranteed to be over them. And I just think that's dangerous because we've seen a Clippers team go to the conference finals basically without Kawhi. We've seen, this Denver team, you're going to tell me, Will Barton's back healthy with Michael Porter Jr. If he takes the leap with Aaron Gordon, they have the MVP, Nikola Jokic. Monty Morris isn't bad. They're still going to be a really good team, even without Jamal Murray. So I just don't want us to walk into next season saying, all right, well, we're guaranteed over those guys because those are really good teams. And I don't want to go down the KP route, but we are banking on him being fully healthy. But if he's not, then that's the thing hindering Dallas too.
That's a negative, and that's a con. Or there's pros and cons, and that would be a con for sure. I just think that the Mavericks are coming in a better position than those teams. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be better. I thought the Mavericks would be better than both the Suns and the Jazz last year, right? I think I had them 6-7 and I had the Mavericks, I think 5 or 4 or something like that. And so, but I had the Lakers higher as well. I had the Blazers, I think, 4th, because I thought that team, with the addition of Robert Covington, I thought that team was going to be better. There's always these teams that rise and fall in a way that we don't expect, but this is where it stacks up right now. So maybe the Clippers are way better without Kawhi. Maybe they're not dealing with having to figure out, is he playing, is he not playing? That makes them better. They played really well in the playoffs. Maybe they figure something out. Maybe the Suns, that was a one-year aberration, and they just fall down, right? There's a chance that they have some regression. That
was my next question of, what's a team in the West that you think will exceed their expectation or their tier, whatever we put them in? What's a team that we think could possibly go backwards some? And for me, it's the Suns, because so much hinged last year on a 35, 36, 37-year-old Chris Paul. If
in a contract year.
If Chris Paul does take a step back, which, he had an incredible season, how much does the Suns team take a step back? Even though their young guys are getting better. I don't think they drop, completely, but it wouldn't shock me either if they fall from, second in the West down to 5 or 6 either. I would not be shocked by that.
Yeah. This is a team that was on what's their pace right here? This is a 60-something win pace, right?
Yeah. And I was very, I was down on the Suns last year because I questioned Chris Paul's health and his age and everything. And some Suns fans had fun with that quote tweeting oh, this guy, he didn't even know if the Suns would make the play in and all of that. But okay, so the next group, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Kings, for me is in that next tier. Are one of those teams, or is there another team in
you forgot the Blazers.
Oh, I put the Blazers with the Clippers, Nuggets, and Mavs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a tier right now with Damian Lillard. I can't put them any lower than that, and it's still a really, really good team. So
yep.
And so outside of, okay, so that's 8 teams right there: Lakers, Suns, Jazz, Warriors, Mavericks, Nuggets, Clippers, Blazers. That's 8 teams. Then I think there is a drop to Memphis, and then probably Memphis is in a tier by themselves, and then New Orleans and Sacramento.
Yeah, you're looking at Memphis. They were 4 games above 500 last year, and you expect them with the Jonas trade. You're not sure, did they get better? Did they get worse? They're kind of one of those teams that you're not really sure whether they improved or not.
Hey, they have
John
this
Morant,
second-year guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, Desmond Bane, and he's been having a really good summer league. He had a good
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it.
But realistically, though,
Heard
I
of
mean,
him.
if John Morant takes another leap, if Jaren Jackson Jr. stays healthy, Dylan Brooks was solid for him last year, DeAnthony Melton, Desmond Bane, they have some young guys. And
They
then,
can all
like,
get
can they get any value out of Steven Adams? Out of if they keep Eric Bledsoe, Tyus Jones isn't bad. What's Zaire Williams in year one? Like, they're a candidate too. That I think their coach is good. I love Ja. They're a candidate where if they pass up something, or if like Portland does trade Damian Lillard, I think they're the natural team to move up in the standings.
Yeah. So who do they rise above then? Portland, if they trade Lillard, that's the only one. Clippers, Nuggets, I guess, if they kind of fall.
Yeah, I think that
if Luka gets hurt, I mean the Mavericks are just done, right? Like
the thing with the Clippers and the Nuggets is, I think they're still going to have good records, but it just makes any type of like bigger injury for them so much worse. Like if the Nuggets go out there and they
an
lose,
additional one.
Yeah, an additional one. If they go out there, like they just can't have any other bigger injuries on their team. If the Clippers lose Paul George for 3 weeks to a sprained ankle or something, like that is massive for them. And so they're going to drop in that case. So if Portland trades Damian Lillard for Ben Simmons, what does where are they? Like how good are they? Are they the same level as Memphis, or are they New Orleans at that point? I just don't know what they are. So Memphis is
We would say
what?
I was going to move on. We would say that Memphis is a tier in themselves.
Yeah, I think Memphis tier themselves, and then I had the Pelicans and Kings together, and then after that's the bottom four of Minnesota, San Antonio, Houston, OKC.
Yeah, San Antonio actively got worse. DeMar DeRozan's gone. They, got younger in the draft, even younger with Josh Primo, the youngest guy in the draft. They're definitely
Big Zach Collins, though. Big addition.
They are definitely going in a direction. The Timberwolves should be the best team out of this group, but I don't see them being better than the Kings, Pelicans, like Grizzlies. That's like your next team up, man. That's so hard to get even better than that. Like to get outside of that bottom five in the West is going to be hard.
The West compared to the East, this is the first year I think you can say from top to bottom, the East should be better. Like you look at the play-in group for the West right now, let's just say those top 8 teams are set in, or those top 6 teams. You're looking at, let's just say that Clippers, Blazers, Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies and Pelicans, or Grizzlies and Kings, like those could be compared to the East, like that could be Chicago and Charlotte. Like that. Those are fun, good teams. So that
is fascinating to take a look. So we think the Mavericks should be right where they were last year, 5, right? Like they should be right there. I could see them definitely getting into the top 3. That the top 4, I guess, especially if a lot of things go right for them. If the Jason Kidd hire does work, if Porzingis gets back to form defensively, if that would be massive for the Mavericks. Luka takes another step up. We're not even considering that because of just the step that he's already at right now. But that is definitely something that could happen. So, all right, let's there you go. That's a bunch of stuff about the Western Conference. You want to talk more about the standings and where the Mavericks, or who are the you're looking at me like, where are you going?
I'm trying to see where you're going with this. No, I think there's also too, like, look at the teams that we have over the Mavericks and look at their biggest question marks. Like the Warriors, Klay Thompson, what will he be injury coming back from all those
question
injuries?
mark.
The Jazz and Suns, how much does an aging Mike Conley and a Chris Paul matter to that team? To where if they take a step back because of their age, like even taking a step further and looking at like the Lakers, what if LeBron does finally take a step back and he shows that he's human? Or, like that. Those are bigger question marks. Dallas's biggest question mark is Kristaps Porzingis. Like we could go down the line of, every one of these teams have big, huge question marks outside of, the random injuries that can happen any moment. But that's the selling card for Dallas is, okay, well, some of these teams that are going to be above us in the standings outside the Lakers, like they're really relying on some aging players. That's key part of the rotations, and Mike Conley and Chris Paul and returning, Klay Thompson from a major injury. That's probably what they're telling themselves right now too. Like, hey, we're fully healthy. We're younger. Let's do this.
Yeah.
We're going to take the next step because we're bringing back the same squad.
And the Mavericks are bringing back the same squad essentially too, but they are also they're young and they've
okay. Let me ask you what. Can I ask you one more thing?
Coming up. Let's get into your one more thing because we're way past it. Your one more thing. We'll talk about Isaac's one more thing that I don't know what it is. Talk about. We'll hear from Josh Green. He had a question from Jalen Brunson. It's really great. I want to show it to you coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar. Tastes like a candy bar. They're absolutely delicious, and they did something really cool where they went to BYU. They're a company based in Utah, and they went and they paid the tuition for 36 walk-on players for BYU's football team. An incredible thing for Built Bar to do, giving back, doing something good. There's a great video. BYU football tweeted it out. We tweeted it from @LockedOn Network. Go follow that account on Twitter. But it's an incredible company, and so go support them by buying bars that also taste great and buying a product that you'll also love. So go get them. Built Bar. They are incredibly good. They're covered in 100% chocolate, 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar. 4 to 5. It's crazy. Built Bar. Use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your first order, your next order at BuiltBar.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into some more about the standings. You have one more thing always.
If the Mavericks land Dragic, do they move up a tier? Or / could they, any of the potential rumored deals, move them up a tier? If they land Dragic and Markkanen, if they get Ricky Rubio and Markkanen, any more type of those moves that you would say they're on that same level of the Warriors and Jazz and Suns?
I think if they get Dragic, I think they move up a tier. I have them like almost at that tier anyway with the Warriors essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would put them up there. I think that there's enough that can go better or worse. Like the Suns were only 9 wins better than the Mavericks last year. Like there's a lot of different, regression. It's a lot, but still, like 9 games you can make up in the Suns being a little bit worse, the Mavs being a little bit better, right? If both those things happen. So, and that could happen to any of the top 4 teams is all I'm saying. I'm not just picking on the Suns, but I think that the Mavericks, if they do get somebody like that adds a different dimension that they don't necessarily have right now that would take them, which is why we've been talking about it so much. Some people were like, I'm so done talking about Dragic. Well, he's the last player that the Mavericks have really targeted that's still out there besides maybe Markkanen, and you would check off that secondary scorer, secondary creator type player that they've needed, and they do need it for a reason.
And we talk about the Dragic stuff because we're a daily podcast that talks about the Mavericks, and because that's the one thing that we all know that they're waiting on. So yes, why are we obsessed with the Dragic stuff? Because it's the ongoing thing that we're all waiting on, that the Mavericks are waiting on too. This isn't something we just dreamed up, that we're just like, hey, talking every day. I would love to be talking about Terry Rozier every day, even though I do, but in a realistic way, there's no rumors attached to that. There is with Goran Dragic. So that's why we have been talking about it. Let's talk to Josh Green.
Wait, you said there's what?
What?
Let's hear from Josh Green. He spoke to the media about Summer League, about the Olympics and all that kind of stuff, with some pretty good stuff. He answered the question about why he's not playing in Summer League, and I went on a little bit of a rant the other day about Josh Green not playing in Summer League, and this answer did not make me feel better. He basically said, well, the time zone is different. The time change is tough on the body, and it's not like I'm not doing stuff here. I'm still working out and I'm working hard. These practices have been some of the hardest practices I've had since joining the NBA and all this stuff. Basically, the answer was there's no reason for him not to play in Summer League, right? Because Usman Garuba is going to be playing in Summer League, and Breanna Stewart is playing in the WNBA, like real games right now, after she just got done with the Olympics and their gold medal run. Like, there's no reason why Josh Green shouldn't be playing in Summer League right now. Besides, maybe this team is not very good with the Mavericks, and they didn't want to put him out there and be like, all right, you're a go-to guy, when that's not really what you do, right? Like, he doesn't really complement the rest of these players well. I guess you could talk yourself into that, but yeah, that answer did not make me feel better about their reason to not play Josh Green.
Yes, they have reasons for not playing Josh Green.
But this one was a great answer, I thought, from Jalen. A question from Jalen Brunson. I'm just going to go ahead and play it. Hopefully you can hear it here. It's great. The video is incredible, too. He's like sitting in a hotel room. The video's like in 4K or something like that. So here you go. Question from Jalen Brunson to Josh Green.
All right, we've got a question from Jalen Brunson.
Josh, how you doing? Jalen Brunson here from the Dallas Mavericks. Just want to know, one, what age were you when you realized Maxi Kleber was your idol? That's the first question. Second question, what was your daily schedule during the Olympics? You know, what were you doing? The people want to know. And third, what was the third question? No third question.
That's a good question, Jalen. Now I can see what you went to college for. To answer that, I would say Maxi's been an inspiration to everyone. I mean, I think from the day I got to Dallas and as a kid, he's always been a great role model. And I just like how relaxed he is, how calm he is, and I try to take that into consideration.
How calm?
I forgot your second question.
Olympic schedule.
My Olympic schedule?
Yeah, just day-to-day life.
That's a terrible question.
Dave.
And what was the third question?
No, you didn't have
You didn't give him.
All right.
he
Thank you,
got it.
Jalen.
Well, if you would have finished school, I mean, maybe you can answer my second question, but you decided not to. So have a great day, Josh.
Hilarious stuff. He asked him what's his Olympic schedule, and then when did he know as a kid that Maxi Kleber was his idol? I think it's because Maxi and Brunson have been together. They've been posting stuff and back and forth. I'm pretty sure Maxi was sitting right next to him when he asked that question. was my guess there, but I thought that was hilarious hearing from them. I knew that Maxi was my role model since I was, a kid.
It's like
I do like how he just went along with it, right? Because that's a BS answer, but he did it. He went along with the bit.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, it was solid. Great answer by him.
Thought it was great. Hopefully you enjoyed Josh Green. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Subscribe if you haven't already. You guys have been coming at the Raccoon Squad is strong right now. Like, just strong. Like, we're going it's well, let's talk about this since it's the end of the podcast. We've been going 5,000 views every single day on our daily episodes on YouTube, 5,000 or more, every single day, which is just insane to me. I'm very grateful for the Raccoon Squad that shows up, and the podcast numbers have not been touched. Basically, they've only increased since adding YouTube. So thank you to everybody that subscribed. If you're not, we're inching our way to 7,000 subscribers.
Let's go.
How crazy is that?
And, we've obviously been waiting for free agency to kind of die down. And so we kind of finished up this week. Starting next week, we're going to start bringing back some off-season schedule stuff and bringing back some days. If you've been listening for the past 4 years, the off season, we like to bring back some game pod episodes. We do some What If Wednesdays.
What If Wednesday?
Which shout out to the guy who came up to me at the pub in McKinney and said, "Dude, I love What If Wednesdays from previous off seasons." So,
IRL came up to you.
Yeah, and we'll try to bring some cool guests on. Guests are a little bit easier to bring on in the off season just because we normally get in the routine and grind of the season and post game pods and all that. So. Got some fun stuff planned for the next 5 weeks, and then we'll have freaking media day in the season. This will be the shortest offseason. I think people are underestimating how quick this is gonna feel when media day gets here.
Unless the Dragic thing just doesn't happen for another 4 weeks, then they'll be like, "This has felt like the longest offseason ever," because it just keeps dragging.
No, you know what's gonna happen? We're gonna set a schedule. We're gonna be on our routine, and then Dragic is gonna happen, and then marketing's gonna happen, and we're gonna all of our schedule stuff is all
totally throw us off our groove. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.